Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. My name is UTD1022 binti Abdul Nasir and my matrix number is 1191960. So I am one of the presenters of Group 1. So I will begin with our topic, which is Hizbut Tahrir, revealing the deviant teaching behind Islamic political movement. First of all, let me tell you a brief overview about Hizbut Tahrir, our topic today. So, have you ever heard of Hizbut Tahrir before? Or have you ever seen this logo in the middle? If you haven't, that is the logo of Hizbut Tahrir. Hizbut Tahrir is one of a new form of global Islamic political association which aim to uphold the legacy of Ottoman Caliphate. It was founded in 1953 by a well-known Palestinian Islamic scholar, Taqiyuddin an-Nabhani. So next, what is their objective actually? Their main objective of their establishment is to instill Islamic practices and the proselytism, which is known as da'wah, to all around the world. Moreover, they intend to give a lead by accordance of Islamic Caliphate, whereby there will be only one leader that leads all Muslims in the world and heard and witnessed by all Muslims. They also have big visions to resurrect Muslims with a true revival through a brilliant pattern of thinking. Hizbut Tahrir seeks to restore the position of the Ummah as in the golden age as before, where the Ummah will take control of the countries and nations of the world. However, this is what actually happened. We need to know that this association might have some thought which opposed to the proper Islamic thought in Malaysia. Therefore, on 17 September 2015, the Selangor Fatwa Committee has declared Hizbut Tahrir as a deviant group and said followers of the pro-caliphate movement who continue to spread their ideologies and teachings in the state will face legal action. Until today, 4 states already banned this group from operating in public, which are Selangor, Johor, Negeri Sembilan, and Sabah. Next, what is the background of the problem? As we know, it is undeniable that Selangor's Mufti Department must apply the vigorous procedures from issuing any fatwa of any group or association which fell under their jurisdiction. It becomes the responsible of the state religious department to abstain publics from practicing any teachings that against Ahli Sunnah wal Jama'ah, which is in short form is Aswaja. Administration of the Religion of Islam, State of Selangor Enactment 2003. Since Hizbut Tahrir Malaysia is far from Ahli Sunnah wal Jama'ah thought, Mufti Department had to issue fatwa as a reminder to publics. Nevertheless, Hizbut Tahrir denied the fatwa by issuing a written statement in their official website whereby they expressed their dissatisfaction towards Mufti Department as they did not receive a proper explanation on the restriction of their association. They also stated that they had a chance to hold a proper meeting with Selangor's Mufti Department in seeking an explanation on the defamation thrown on Hizbut Tahrir. In fact, they claim that Selangor's Mufti Department are failed to prove that all allegations on Hizbut Tahrir are relevant. Hence, they held a press conference in Bandar Baru, Bani to clarify the fatwa made by Selangor's Mufti Department. Since Hizbut Tahrir banned from proselytize their thought, their teaching will be the biggest question. Next, let's move to biodata of Hizbut Tahrir's founder. Hizbut Tahrir Malaysia, HTM, is one of the branches of the larger Hizbut Tahrir organization. This political organization was founded in 1953 by a Palestinian scholar, Sheikh Muhammad Taqiyuddin bin Ibrahim bin Mustafa bin Ismail bin Yusuf An-Nabhani. Sheikh An-Nabhani was born in Izin district in 1909 and came from a prestigious family of eminent scholars. He passed away in 1977. His father was a teacher of Sharia teachers at the Palestinian Ministry of Education. His mother, on the other hand, mastered several branches of Sharia knowledge, which she obtained from his grandfather, Sheikh Yusuf bin Ismail bin Yusuf An-Nabhani. He was a Qadi, which is known as judge, poet, writer, and one of the leading scholars in Ottoman Caliphate. After the founder and leader, Sheikh An-Nabhani died, Hizbut Tahrir succeeded by Sheikh Abdul Qadim Zalum, Hizbut Tahrir's second leader, who saw the organization grow even further. Arab countries viewed Hizbut Tahrir as a threat after it orchestrated many coup attempts in Egypt and Jordan. Members of the organization were prosecuted and forced to flee to Western countries such as the United Kingdom, Germany, Australia, and the United States. Paradoxically, the growth and expansion of Hizbut Tahrir to other Muslim countries is through Western routes. Having access to Western countries with European passports allowed them to move freely, and subsequently, Hizbut Tahrir members began traveling to Islamic countries to spread their ideology. Then, Abdul Qadim retires as a leader. It succeeded by the leadership of its third leader, Sheikh Abu Rashta. Hizbut Tahrir grew rapidly and filled important bases in Southeast Asian countries. So next, what about Hizbut Tahrir's followers? From the establishment of Hizbut Tahrir Malaysia in the late of 1990s until today, there are no definite data or statistics on the number of its followers together with their profile in its official website, which is myhilafah.com. Neither followers in Selangor nor other states of the country. However, through the results of our study, there are a total of almost 44,000 followers on its official Facebook and almost 6,000 followers on their Instagram. Furthermore, Hizbut Tahrir Malaysia also has 609 subscribers on its Telegram channel. Moreover, Hizbut Tahrir Malaysia accepts the membership of every Muslims, both male and female, regardless of whether they are of Arab descent or not, white or black. The way to bind individuals to Hizbut Tahrir is to embrace the Aqidah Islamiyah, mature in the Thaqafah of Hizbut Tahrir, and take and set the ideas and opinions of Hizbut Tahrir. Other than that, in order to identify the followers of Hizbut Tahrir, they had set the same profile picture in addition with some hashtags in the caption or status of their respective social media to show full support of the Hizbut Tahrir Malaysia. Among the hashtags used are hashtag return the Khilafah, hashtag tegakkan Khilafah, and hashtag establish the Khilafah. Although there are a few people in our country who do not even know the existence of this teaching, which is Hizbut Tahrir, nevertheless, the Selangor Fatwa Council ruled that the teachings of Hizbut Tahrir as heretical by its chairman, who is also the Mufti of Selangor, Datuk Muhammad Tamyiz Abdul Wahid, on 11 December 2015. Thus, as Muslims, we must be cautious in accepting any ideology from this teaching in order to preserve the precise Islamic faith or Aqidah. That's all from me. Thank you.
Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. I am one of the presenters of Group 1 in KLV3. My name is Murni Beti Maswad and my matric number is 1192018. Today I am going to present about the propagation of Hizbut Tahrir, and later I will also be presenting the ideologies and activities of Hizbut Tahrir. First, let's get to the starting point on how Hizbut Tahrir was propagated to Malaysia. It all started in the early 1990s, where the members of Hizb ut-Tahrir United Kingdom approached Malaysian students to spread their teachings. But why in the UK instead of Malaysia? That will be because at that time, many Malaysian students came to the England to further their studies there. In order to become a full-fledged member of Hizb ut-Tahrir, here are the steps they should follow to become one. First and foremost, the members will attend seminars and public lectures that were organized by Hizb ut-Tahrir. Then, those people who were selected to be a potential member will be invited to a weekly study circle known as halaqah. After that, each of these halaqah will be led by the Hizb ut-Tahrir members known as a mushrif. Their job is to monitor everyone in the circle based on their attendance, religiosity, and leadership skills. The members of halaqah need to master 4 elements of Hizb ut-Tahrir philosophy, which are: number 1, Islam as an ideology; number 2, Islam as a political idea; number 3, Hizb ut-Tahrir as an Islamic political organization; and number 4, Islamic proselytizing process. If they do master them all, the mushrif will approve them, and then they will be invited to a more structured halaqah called as halaqah murakazah. Then, how did Hizb ut-Tahrir spread to Malaysia? Do they really have to wait for the students from England to go back to Malaysia to propagate that teaching themselves? Not exactly. It is because the process of becoming a full-fledged member is very strict, so none of them managed to become a qualified member of the HT. So what are they going to do to solve this problem? Simple. The main leadership of the HT has asked Hafiz Abdul Rahman, who is from the Hizb ut-Tahrir Indonesia, to come and move to Malaysia to spread their movement. Let's look at the progress in Malaysia based on the years. Around 1990s to the 2000s, Hizb ut-Tahrir Malaysia used organizations such as Muslim Intellectual Network of the Malay World, or IKIN in short, to organize their activities. Back then, they avoid using the name of Hizb ut-Tahrir because they fear that they might get caught and be prosecuted for their heresy teachings. It was until 2004 when they began to use the name openly. They also made various publications such as Sautun Nahdah leaflet and spread it at mosques during Friday prayers around the same year. From the last sentence, it is good to assume that they did spread the movement to the locals through the seminars as well. In 2006, they submit an application to the Malaysian authority to be registered as an official political organization. And finally, in 2010, the Sultan Nahdah leaflet that was published way back in 2004 has gotten an official permit by the authorities to be openly distributed throughout Malaysia. Now, we will move to the ideology of Hizb ut-Tahrir and their activities. We all know that Hizb ut-Tahrir is a heresy teaching that should have been banned for quite a while now. But how exactly is the implementation of Hizb ut-Tahrir any different from Islam? We can see the distinctions in much clearer detail in terms of engaging war, democracy or politics, and also hudud laws, which I will explain soon enough. So, about Hizb ut-Tahrir and war. Hizb ut-Tahrir actually encourages killing non-Muslim civilians that occupy the Darul Harb or land of war, despite claiming to be a non-violent organization. Abdul Qadim Zaloom, the successor of Hizb ut-Tahrir, quoted that committing mass genocide is acceptable against those who do not accept Islam, because they believe that the blood of people in Darul Harb is lawful, which obviously opposes the concept of peace and harmony in Islam. In fact, Islam strongly prohibits the act of killing except for a few situations that were allowed. But Hizb ut-Tahrir's blind faith in creating their so-called land of Islam resorted to colonize non-Muslim countries and permit themselves to sacrifice the lives of innocent people just to achieve that goal. After that, Hizb ut-Tahrir and democracy. Hizb ut-Tahrir completely rejects democracy because they think that Muslims who adopt and embrace democracy is rejecting Allah as the only legislator in this universe. Slimpy said, they abandon everything that is not Islamic, including laws, institutions, and government, and prefer to adopt an Islamist ideal themselves, even though it might be extremist to the eyes in the world, especially when they also reject Western ideologies such as secularism, capitalism, and even universal human rights. I'd also like to mention that Hizb ut-Tahrir believes that Muslims who utilize these Western ideologies are considered as apostates, in which they shall be punished by death, which clearly contradicts what Islam really is. And last but not least, Hizb ut-Tahrir and Hudud. There are a few offenses that I'd like to highlight here. First, the act of adultery and premarital sex will be accounted to stoning to death and lashing for up to 1,000 times respectively. I can at least assure that in Islamic hudud law, it is actually only 100 times of lashing instead of 1,000, with some procedures that need to be followed. As for stealing, not every offense of stealing should be punished with the amputation of hands. Here, we should also consider the situations the offenders had done before committing the punishment. And finally, the punishment for apostasy is immediate death punishment, which is wrong because in Islam, those who commit apostasy are given about 3 days to repent for their sins. Before I end my presentation, it is very important to note that there is nothing wrong in administering the hudud law as part of the Sharia law in Islam. But do note that punishment is always the last resort for the offenders, because one of the principles of applying hudud law in the first place is to maximize and encourage mercy to the fullest, just as Islam has taught us to. That's all from me. We will continue with the last presenter. Thank you.
Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. My name is Zulkifli Sulaiman. Entry number 1192021. So for today, I would like to present about the solution to encounter deviant teaching or Hizb ut-Tahrir. Here we listed more than 2 solutions to encounter deviant teachings in Malaysia. So this can be taken by the responsible body to strengthen need to strengthen Muslims' religious belief. The first one, by providing programs. For example, program here means like classes, lectures, or talks that highlight about the importance of having a correct Aqidah or faith. This can be done by the Jabatan Kemajuan Islam Malaysia and also by the Jabatan Agama Islam Negeri-Negeri to strengthen or to raise the awareness of the importance of having correct Aqidah or faith among the Muslims. So the second one, the Jabatan Kemajuan Islam Malaysia and also Jabatan Agama Islam Negeri-Negeri can work together with Malaysian Communication and Multimedia Commission in observing any peculiar activities related to the Islamic teachings on the internet. It is undeniable that internet plays an important role in teaching the society. It can be strengthened by many people started to surf or to use the internet in their daily life. And the internet usage is widely used by our people in our country, even in our country, but also around the world. So it is better for the Jabatan Kemajuan Islam Malaysia and also Jabatan Agama Islam Negeri-Negeri to collab with Malaysian Communication and Multimedia Commission to control any peculiar activities happen on the internet relating with Islamic teaching. So the third one, by state and federal laws. we know that the federal constitution conferred to the state and federal and the parliament a power to enact a law relating to the Islamic matters. For example, under the Article 11, Clause 4 of the Federal Constitution, state and federal laws can be enacted to control and restrict the propagation of any religious or belief or doctrine among persons professing Islam. It is clear that the Constitution itself conferred to the state and federal a power to enact law in regard to the Islamic matters. But then, in the case of Abdul Hakim Hamizu bin Osman and others, and Menteri Dalam Negeri, the court stated that the power conferred by the parliament in controlling or enacting law in regard to the Islamic matters include the observation of certain schools of thought and opinion within the Islamic religion itself. It can be any deviant teaching which is not in alignment with Islam also can be prohibited by the law which will be enacted by the state and the laws as it deemed to be fit according to the current situation. So the last one is obtaining cooperation from the community to make report in regard to any deviant teachings occurred within their neighborhood. In fact, we know that deviant teaching is near or is close with our community, and it is better for the Jabatan Kemajuan Islam Malaysia and also Jabatan Agama Islam Negeri to obtain the cooperation from the society to inform anything which is related with the deviant teachings if it happened in the circle of your community. So the responsible body can take further action to prevent the deviant teaching from spreading widely across the nation. We move to the conclusion from the whole case. So the first one is, it is our duty to seek the truth and not be gullible if any group promotes something which is too good to be true. The second one, public need to aware that it is totally foul to say our Muslim brothers are infidels. In fact, many Muslim countries does not practice the real Muslim ruling system as they found their current ruling system in their country suit the best. So because of someone who doesn't want to practice the real Muslim ruling system, we cannot call them as infidels. Besides, in fact, in the real world, many Muslim countries doesn't practice the real Muslim ruling system because they found that their current ruling system, which is made by them themselves, suits the best for the nation or for the personal interests of the people. I think that's all from me, and I am I apologize for any inconvenience